The night's humid, and I can smell the stink of the city in the air. I try to wash the taste away with a tall, cold one. I can either do a movie review or take my mitts and crack some skulls. Either way, the night's going to get hot as hell. Okay, I don't need the tape anymore, but I am going to keep the trench coat on. Why? Because it makes me feel like a badass. By the way, I'm not wearing any pants right now. So Sin City, A Dame to Kill For is the prequel to the original 2005 film, Sin City, and I'll give you my backstory on that. In 2005, I was a junior in high school. I went to see this new movie called Sin City. It was based on a graphic novel. That's all I knew about this movie. And I remember going into the theater and getting immersed into this live-action graphic novel. You know, there's a yellow guy who's a pervert, and you got hot stripper Jessica Alba dressed like a cowgirl. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of the first Sin City movie. I even own it on Blu-ray. That's how much I like it. And the big question is, can this new sequel that comes out 9 years later after the original live up to the original, or is it better? And we'll talk a little bit more about that later. And really quick, before we talk about the character development, the plot points, and all that fun stuff from the new Sin City movie, I first want to give a little bit more credit to the original Sin City movie, because without that graphic novel coming to the live action screen, we might not have gotten other graphic novel movies, such as the movie Kick-Ass, Watchmen, The Badass 300, and The Spirit. Well, yeah, fuck The Spirit, but you get what I'm talking about. So yeah, if the original Sin City wasn't good and turned out to be a floppy piece of shit, well, we probably wouldn't have gotten all those other movies. So what is the plot to Sin City, A Dame to Kill For? Well, you have all these hard-boiled characters set in this dirty, grimy city where life is cheap. And in this new sequel prequel, most of the original characters from the first movie return, and you get a few new ones, a few other characters are missing, but we'll talk more about the characters in just one second. The first thing I wanted to mention about this movie is the overall storyline and plot. Now, much like the original 2005 Sin City film, all of the characters in this new movie have their own storylines going on, and that's one of my favorite dynamics about this movie is it doesn't have one conclusive story. Each character has his own thing going on, and at times throughout the movie they intertwine and interweave with each other, but overall I like the separation. And with all that said, that's where my first major complaint lies, because in this new Sin City film, all of the new storylines you get with all of the new characters or old characters, they just kind of seem lackluster compared to the original 2005 film. Because in the first Sin City film, there's all these memorable scenes going on, and in this new one, there's a few here and there, but they just don't quite compare for me. And when you're talking about a sequel to a film, well, it's only fair to compare the two, and the original is just like a lot more better than this new one. And for me, that's kind of sort of what this new Sin City felt like. It felt like they were feeding the leftover scraps to some of my favorite characters. But don't worry, it's not like this movie's complete shit. There's some glimmers of hope and some interesting violent sexual scenes throughout it. But now let's talk about the characters of the movie. Now, if you already couldn't tell by the intro to this video, one of my favorite characters from Sin City is Marv. He's a badass brawler, backstreet grizzly badass, and he's played by Mickey Rourke. Now, a few observations about the character of Marv this time around. Well, it almost looks like they put more prosthetics on Mickey Rourke's face. Like, there was just like, yeah, the nose isn't quite big enough, slap some more foam on it, more glue, a little bit more paste. Yeah, here, take this fucking shoe and put it right there. And yeah, the character of Marv this time around just looks like his face got more bloated or something. Yeah, suffice it to say, in the original 2005 Sin City film, it looked like the character of Marv, Mickey Rourke, who played him, could express more emotion through the prosthetics. This time around, it just looked like he could barely move. But with all that said, good or bad or over-the-top prosthetics, I still love this character. Mickey Rourke plays him to a T. And then you have the new character of Johnny, played by Joseph Gordon-Levitt. Huge fan of JGL. And in this movie, Johnny is a slick-talking gambler who wins no matter what. And essentially just Joseph Gordon-Levitt in a suit, but I'm okay with that. Huge fan, like I said. And I would say Johnny's storyline in this new Sin City film was pretty much the second most interesting, right behind Marv's. And then you have the character of Nancy, played by Jessica Alba, who's a stripper once again. And yeah, it's really fun to look at, but guys, don't get your hopes up. Even though the movie's rated R, you're not gonna see what you want from Jessica Alba. I mean, if you want quality or mediocre acting, you're gonna get that. But as far as our rated R rating goes, and nudity, strong sexual content, now let's dive into the good stuff. Let's talk about Eva Green in this movie, who plays Eva, a sexy, seductive goddess who just wants to bang everything and then kill them later. And I like women like that. I don't know why, I'm just slightly attracted to it. It's like a Black Widow. You know what's gonna happen, but you go for it anyway. She just snatches you up and fucking eats you alive. I really liked her character, but I didn't necessarily like the storyline that she was put in. Now, this storyline in this movie takes up the majority of the runtime. and it kind of gets a little bit boring and redundant, and you're just like, it's the least interesting one, but you're giving it the most screen time. Now let's talk about the character Eva in this movie, and Eva essentially is the same character that Eva Green played in 300 Rise of an Empire. Sexy, seductive, wants to take her shirt off and bang everything around her, and she's a badass chick. So yeah, essentially the same character, but in another graphic novel movie. Yeah, this movie earns its rated R rating for me on my dude level. I don't even know what that is. It means I'm a pervert and I like boobies. Yeah, it's 3 o'clock in the morning. I'm sorry. Oh, and real quick, here's just a random movie observation. At one point in this movie, you have Rosario Dawson's character, and she's wearing a Gimp mask. Don't get me wrong, I kinda like it, but I couldn't help but remember Kick-Ass 2 with the character Motherfucker. You see the comparison? Now let's essentially break down what Sin City: A Dame to Kill For is all about. It has heavy themes of film noir, it brings that live action graphic novel to the big screen, it's got nudity, sex, and violence. Does this movie do all those things? Yeah. Does it do them well? Yeah. Is it visually interesting to watch? Yes. But my biggest issue with this film is the time management between all the different stories and characters. Because you take interesting characters and you don't give them enough screen time. And then you take the boring storylines going on throughout the film, the obvious ones, and you stretch them out. So yeah, that's one of my major complaints with this movie. And also by the third act of the movie, you're just like, you don't really care anymore. You're not quite as invested as you want to be. But I really loved the first half of the movie. It's just the second half got a little bit tiresome to watch. But in all fairness, throughout the movie, there's tons of badass, graphic, violent things happening, tons of really cool fight scenes and visuals. But with all of that said, I'm going to give the new movie, Sin City: A Dame to Kill For, a B-. For me, it's definitely a step down from the original 2005 Sin City movie. I just didn't quite enjoy this one as much. So anyway, guys, here's my question to you. Which one do you prefer, the original Sin City or Sin City 2: A Dame to Kill For? Or what is your favorite graphic novel film of all time? So anyway, guys, thanks for watching. Leave your thoughts, your opinions down below in the comments, and I'll see you next time.